Hey, all you Clovers, it's Phoebe here, and we are going to do a deep dive into Colorway and also talk about some great updates we've done along the way. Heads up, this is a long video, so buckle in, but let's jump on in and have some fun while we learn. Okay, so I have my closed screen open. And as you can see, I have my bag here. Let's start with the foundations, okay? So first off, where is Colorway? Colorway is underneath production. At my top toolbar here, I'll see production. I can select that and Colorway will be right there. Great, right? Now, going with the foundation theme, let's talk about what we're looking at right now. So at the very top here, right here, we've got update. Now what update is going to do is it's going to refresh your thumbnail image right here. It's gonna keep refreshing that based off of what's in your 3D window here. I'm highlighting a lot of things at once. Next, we have save image. Now, save image is really great and super helpful for when you're exporting and ready to share all of your colorways. So we're gonna go through that in the end. But we have save image right next to update. After that, we have show hidden graphic. Now, this is not checked on. So what that means is, I'm just going to show it to you. If I decide to hide this, that means you would not see it. But if I checked it on, then you would see it, okay? Because you're checking on to show the hidden graphic. If you don't want to see your hidden graphics, then it should be unchecked. But if you want to see them, then you can check them on. I'm gonna now show this. So no matter what, I'll always see it. But now we have show hidden graphic right here. Right next to show hidden graphic, we have the new update where it's not super new, but it's newish. There's two little add buttons. The first add button is the simple way to add, which I am certain 90% of you will only ever need. I will get into why later. And then the second add button here is the more advanced way to add, which if you are like, I'm gonna do all the things, then that is your tool. That is your add, okay? But again, 90% of you will only need the simple way. That 10%, which we knew needed a little bit more of an advanced way, we now have for you. So that's great. Right at the bottom here, we have our zooming, so you can zoom in and out. So for those of you who really like a big font on your iPhone, this is amazing. For those of you who are a little bit like me, who likes to play life in a medium scale, then medium's your place to go. And then finally, we have this edit and view option. So what does edit mean? Edit means you can view all of the components of your colorway, all right here, and you can edit and adjust them. View means you'll just view that colorway image. So you'll just view that thumbnail, which, reminder, you can update using that update tool right here, update little button. So if I click this, it will update it based off of how I'm viewing my 3D window. So every time I rotate and move it, I can hit this update and it will update. And that is the layout. So I always like to have edit on because I'm normally editing my colorway. So before we even start about adding in colorways, I want us to just remind ourselves, what is fabric in CLO? Like, what does a Zfab file or a fabric file consist of. And there are 3 separate parts of a Zfab file, okay? 3. Very important. Your first part is the information. Now, this holds all of that really, really, really important stuff, especially for BOMs or bill of materials. So it holds like what the name of the fabric is, what the content of the fabric is, the item number of the fabric, the supplier of the fabric, the owner of the fabric. These are all really crucial parts of the fabric that you need to know, especially if you want to order it. So that's why this is all really important to have. The next part of this is the materials part. Now, the materials part is the visual part of it all. And this is also really, really important. And it's really important, especially for making it look how you envision it to. So what that means is it has all your maps. So it's this part right here, and it even goes a little bit farther down, but it holds your texture map. So if you have a print or something on it, it holds that. It's your normal map. So it's like the weave or the knit of your fabric, that holds that. It's the displacement map. So if there's any bumps or like highs and lows, it holds that. The opacity. So if it's slightly opaque in certain places or transparent in other places, like a lace, opacity map. If it has some reflection or some light to it, so if it's iridescent or there's like some shine to it, those are your reflection and metalness maps. All of your maps and how the fabric looks, that's where all of this is. Now, the materials is kind of what you play around with the most, especially when you're doing colorways. So this is a really important part with colorways. And the last part is your physical properties. Physical properties is like, how do I say this? It's the core data. It's how the fabric drapes. It's the essence of it, almost. It is the information that you gave it when you were testing all of that fabric. It shows you how it's going to look in the digital world, and it's supposed to replicate it exactly the same of the physical. So if it's going to drape far away from the body, if it's going to be really close, if it will like balloon out, how it will stretch, and all of that, that is in the physical property information. And most of the time, that is not adjusted in colorways, because most of the time you're just making different SKUs, which means just different colors of the same fabric. There are some instances where you would need technically a different fabric altogether, and for those instances, we created an advanced version of adding in colorways. But that's why I said 90% of you are only ever going to need to use the simple way, because there's very few instances where you need a completely different fabric for a colorway. And those are the 3 different sections that make up one Zfab. So those are the 3 sections that make up one Zfab. Now you might be asking me, you might be like, Phoebe, you're really harping on this, and like, can you learn to be chill? The answer is no, I cannot. But the reason why I'm harping on it is because for the advanced version of adding in fabrics, it has everything to do with how much you can and can't change based off of what's in your property editor. So I really wanted you to understand how a fabric is created, how Zfab is made up, so that you kind of understand what these different options are, especially in the advanced model. Now that I feel like you all understand, we can move on to more fun things. So, another refresher course, how to add in fabrics into your object browser, or just like add in fabrics. Just because if you're someone like me, you probably like to prep. If you're not someone like me, you still should know this, okay? And maybe you should start to prep. It's fun. It's nice. It gets your life like very ready. Okay? I'm just saying, it's nice. First off, we have folders here, so you can edit names and create folders. I'm gonna say like outer shell bag. And now I'm going to add in another folder and say lining bag. And yeah, I did do a capital I. Okay, lining bag. And I'm gonna just drag this into my lining along with my tag. And great, now I'm nice and organized. I'm a big organization fan. Now what I can do is I can add in a default fabric. Now, when you add in a default fabric, you have a bunch of options available to you. You could right click and fabric creator, and then use the fabric creator and start to add in. Now I have a whole nother fabric and I can play around with that information. Denim. Okay. One way to add in a fabric. Completely legitimate. It's great. It's really helpful. Another way to add in a fabric is you could select a fabric and bring in a completely new fabric by using this open like icon right here. So this folder icon, I can open this. It'll bring you directly into your computer files, and then you can bring in a fabric that you want to use. Like so. Okay. I'm going to show you this third way. And here's the thing. This third way, I think, is really great. Some might even call it the bomb diggity. Okay? I'm just gonna be honest. I think it is the bomb diggity. I think it's kind of one of the best ways. Because, like, the options that it gives you, you can right click and you can say open select material. Okay, this is the really cool feature. I really think it's underused and I want so many more people to use it. So please use this. I didn't even develop it, but like, I think it's great. It's so great. You right click, okay, open select material. When you open select material, it again brings you to your computer files. Anywhere that you have access to, you can select it. You can then, let's say I want the corset and I hit open. Now, let's say I selected the corset because I knew the print in it and I loved it and I wanted to use that exact same print in this fabric. So that's why I wanted it. So I could uncheck all of this and just bring in the texture. I could also do the back and change this. And I could say like, oh, I just wanted like nothing. Like I just wanted the color of the back. And same with the side. I could say like, I just wanted the color of the side. And I could bring all of this in. You have the option of bringing everything about that fabric in, or like one thing about that fabric in. And if you want to, you could just hit cancel and bring nothing of that fabric in. Like, the options you have are amazing. It's so vast and it's great. And it can solve so many workflows and so many requests, I think. Just try it, please. So I'm going to bring in the texture and not the physical property. And I'm going to hit OK. And now I brought in this texture and I also brought in the type. So the original type was a knit, but now it's a fabric velvet. And I just brought in the texture. It's base color. It's this one and everything. It didn't adjust my presets or anything like that. It's just brought in the texture for me and all of that. It even kept the same name as originally and everything. So it's really, really helpful. It's really, really great. And I really, really like it because let's say for a lining, I was like, oh, I really like this stripe texture. And I could right click and say open select material. And for my backside, I'm going to uncheck and say texture and undo color. And for my front, I'm going to say texture and I'm going to hit OK. And now I made sure that my back has the same as my front. And like, this is the texture and everything. And you can like add all of this in. This is really, really great for if you're doing GLBs, if you're doing just like Zfabs. It's really, really helpful. So Open Select is one of my favorite features. Really try it. It can answer a lot of your workflow needs, I think, especially when it comes to colorways and all of that. I'm going to go back to my history tab here and just jump back a little bit more just so that I can go back to my original. Of course, Control Z does the same thing. But okay. And also, now that I've shown you all the ways in which you can add in a fabric, we all know the classic way, which is just double clicking on our fabric and it will bring it right back in to our object browser from our library, which is a very classic way. But what if you have all of these fabrics that you don't really want in your workspace because they're unused? And if some of you are asking me, Phoebe, how do I know if they're unused or not? That is a great question. If I go over here, you can see in my object browser, there are certain fabrics that are grayed out. Like the words are grayed out. That's telling me that they are not active in my current, in any colorway that I have. I'll also see that there's a trash can next to it. That's also telling me that it is not active in any of the colorways that I have. So what I can do is I can just select it, right click, and delete all unused fabrics, and it will delete them all. So a really, really helpful thing. Okay, I'm gonna hit this update because again, it's gonna update my thumbnail to be what I'm seeing here in my 3D window. And now that we have gone through, congratulations, you have made it. We have gone through all of the foundations that I wanted us to remember and the refreshers that I wanted us to have. And thank you for listening to my TED Talk about Open Select. I just think it's really important and I love it. So use it. Now let's go into how do you add in a colorway? Well, we're going to, of course, start with what I think 90% of you are going to be using, which is the simple add. So here I'm going to add in 2 different colorways. And I'm going to also rename them. I want you to know the amount of anxiety that goes through me whenever I write anything in real time in front of you is shocking just because I'm such a bad speller. But nobody's perfect, okay? So here I have 2 simple adds. I just hit add and add. This little button right here. Let's go through all the things you can do with just a very simple, easy add. So let me select my knit here. I can go in and change the color. Great. Looks great, right? I can hit Control and I can select multiple things at once, allowing me to then change the color all at once, which is really nice. I could go into this one, or I could go into here in my object browser, and I can go to my side, and I can change this to be darker. I could even go into my graphic here, and I can change this out to being a different graphic. So let's say I wanted this one, and then I wanted to resize it, because I do. I can even change out this graphic. And then I'll hit update and see what my update is. Really nice. I can then go into this simple add. And let's say for this one, I wanted to get rid of the texture, right? And I can delete this. Then I can go in and change out my colors. Wow, this is really looking like fall. I can also go into here. So there's quite a few there's quite a few things I can do with just this simple add. I can change out every single material property I see here. Just know, okay. If you're in knit and you're in knitwear, you can't change the stitching or the knitwear information. You can change the coloring, but you can't change the knitwear stuff. Okay, just Like you can't change the stitching, the yarn thickness, gauge, or knit direction, because technically if you change any of that, that is actually changing the physical properties of it. And with this simple add, it's mainly just about changing the visualization, not so much the physical. So if you are changing the stitch type and like the gauge or yarn thickness, that's changing the physical aspects of it. So you can't do it. If you change one, you'll change them all, and just like so you know. Especially the visualization here, you'll visually see the change here. So everything you can do with this simple add, you can change every single material map. So that means you can adjust and edit textures, meaning you can add in a print, you can take out a print, you can change how the print looks, you can change out all of the colors, you can add and change, you can like add and change the scaling of a normal map. You can bring in a different texture of a graphic. You can change out the sides of a fabric in a different colorway. There's a lot of different things that you can do to adjust a colorway within just a simple add like this. The next option we have is an advanced add. Okay, so that is when you're like, okay, but I want to be able to change more. Or you want more control over what you're changing or anything like that. So here in this add as custom setting, when I select this, I now see a pop-up. And what this is going to do is this is going to say like, okay, what parts of your fabric properties do you want to edit? We have materials. Materials is your simple add, okay? It is all of this. It's the whole material section. See materials? See materials? These are the same name for a reason, okay? Same name for a reason. Materials goes with materials. So all of your materials can be edited independently from other colorways. So colorway, Zfab colorway materials can be edited independently from simple add material, from simple add colorway. And the materials in simple add colorway can be edited independently from simple add 2 colorway and default colorway. So it can all be adjusted independently from the other colorways. If you need more options, then all properties is for you. All properties means that everything in this property editor is adjustable to you. Everything the light touches is yours. Okay? So everything within the property editor is adjustable. So all of your like information, all of your materials, all of your physical properties, those can all be adjusted independently from the other colorways. Meaning, what you do to one colorway will not affect the others. The physical properties, if you adjust one, like this colorway's physical properties, it will not affect the others. If you adjust that colorway's materials, it will not affect the others. If you adjust that colorway's information, it will not affect the others. All of that will be on its own. It is basically creating its own like little colorway that is independent from the rest. And then finally, we have the link option. The link option actually does the exact opposite of what all properties does. It is going to link every colorway that you selected to the next one that you just added. So I selected simple add 2, right? So if I hit link, the next colorway I add will link to simple add 2. It will not link to the other ones. It will just link to simple add 2. So whatever I do to that colorway will affect the simple add 2 colorway. Okay? What I do to one will affect the other. The complete opposite of all properties. Now what's nice here is when you hover over, there will be a reminder of what all of these do. So there's something to help you out. If you go to this eye icon, it will also tell you what all of these do, and you can go to the manual to remind you. What's also really nice is you can change these via sections. So I can say like all properties for every section and hit add. But what I can also do is I can change this per component. So each component I could say like, actually, I just want this, like this tag fabric to be linked. And I want this logo, like this CLO logo, to be linked. And I want these top stitches to be linked. So you can decide based off the individual component along with the entire section, which is really nice. And now I'm going to hit add and close. And just to help us all out in remembering what we've all done, linked-ish. It's linked-ish. Most of the fabrics are actually properties, or actually materials, ads, and then the graphic and the top stitch and the tag are all linked. Now you might say like, how, Phoebe, like how could I remember that? So if I go into here, you can see actually there's little symbols here that tell me what's linked, and it will even show me what it's linked to. So you see how it's linked to here? So it will tell me if something is linked together. Now you might be asking, well, Phoebe, how do I know if something is like an all properties or independent from one another? We also have a way to tell you that. So over here in our property editor, there's these little like boxes. These will help show you which colorways this fabric is going to affect. So right now you can see that this fabric only affects this one colorway because this is the only colorway that you can see, and all the other colorways are in not use. So if I hover over here, you can see not used, not used, not used. But if I hover over this one, it shows me it's used in all properties. If I select simple add to, and again, like I'll zoom in here, it shows me that it's used in everything but this one colorway, right? Because this is the one that's crossed out. So it shows me all of my little swatches, like it shows me little tiny images of which colorways it's in. And if I hover over it, it even shows me. Now, if you're like, this is too much, you can always click this little color, like this little droplet, and it will hide it. If you want to see it, you can click it again to see. So you can always hide and show. If you want to see all of your fabrics in all of the colorways, you can just hit this like top 2 droplets and it will show you all of the fabrics in all of your colorways. You can also hide it if you don't want to see it all. And then you can of course like go back so that you can see your little swatches and everything. Now let's go into all of the things all properties can do for you. So all properties gives you kind of like free range into all of the editing that you can possibly do here. It's a little bit like the Wild West for you Americans. I don't know what the equivalent is for anywhere else in the world. I apologize. But it is very much a free-for-all. Meaning every part of your fabric you can adjust. So here I have my knit. So if I decided that I actually wanted to have this a seed and I was like, oh, I want this to be 1 and I'm going to have this be like 8, I could do that. And I can hit update and it won't affect my other colorways because this isn't all properties. So I can go to like the simple add and I can then see the knit and it's the same. And it's this one. If I went to my all properties, completely different. I could also go and I could say like, oh, I'm going to open up and bring in my colorway 2. Completely different fabric. And as you can see, I brought in my colorway 2, bag colorway 2. So here it is in my colorway, bag colorway 2. And you can see that my other Colorways. The name hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. Just this name and everything. Also, you can see that my materials have changed. All of these materials have changed. My preset, I can change this preset too. I could say like I wanted a cut and sew. I'm just gonna go for it. Ponte. Here I changed this. If I go to this colorway, it's the exact same as this colorway, right? These properties, these physical properties have not changed based off of what this physical property is, which is the knit Ponte. So I can change this completely based off of whatever I want. I could even go in and let's say I was like, oh, I want to do an ad print. I could add another print. I can go into my fabrics and all of this. I could even be like, I could decide, actually, no, I don't want this ad print. I could say I wanted the ad print in the lining. And I could, again, like go in. Maybe I want to change this color a little bit more. And now I have a whole new lining. And if I hit update, and again, it doesn't affect any of my other linings. Just this one. And I completely added an ad print. So the things that you can do here, I could also go in and I could change, I could add in a whole nother graphic. So I could add a graphic here. So let's say for this one, I could maybe add another all properties, because I can say, okay, I wanted another all properties here. And for this one, I want a completely different fabric. So I'm going to hit open and I'm going to say this is going to be this one. Completely different fabric. I want a completely different lining. I don't want to print. I deleted that. I'm going to go and say this color, applying close. Again, I'm going to hit update. Doesn't affect anything in any of the other colorways. I literally deleted a whole section of a fabric and it did not affect anything. I can then say, okay, for this one, I also wanted to go into the graphics and, you know, add in a CLO graphic right here. I can do that. And then I can like change out the color to be this and go into my fabrics here and change this out. What I'm getting at is there's really nothing that you can't change when it comes to all properties on its own. It will not affect any other colorway. So you can honestly make a completely different garment or bag or whatever in one colorway if you really wanted to. It's all on however you wanted this workflow to work. Just know one thing, and this is the one thing I am going to give you a heads up on. If I decided to simulate with this, it's going to look very different. See, I simulated it, it looks very different. And if I hit update, it will update based off of this simulation in all of the colorways. So all of the colorways will then look like this. Which may not be what you want, right? You might say like, well, but this one, if I hit simulate, is different, right? Like this is different properties. This fabric is very different from what the other one is. Just know that the thumbnail here is going to reflect what's ever in that 3D window on all colorways, not just like one specifically. So if I hit update now, it will update all of them to this. Just fun facts. Now let's get into the linked, because we talked a lot about the all properties, and the all properties is really cool. I think like you can see the added bonus of being able to do all the things you can do here. With the linked, this is also really cool because as you can see, this graphic is linked between this one and this colorway. So whatever I do to this, let's say I decide to change this to be this color, apply and close, update, it will change to both because it's linked. So this colorway and this colorway are adjusted. If I see both of these, let me slide this over just so you can see this a little better. So these are linked together. If I change this thread color to being pink, it will change on both. So this one and this one, both of them are going to change to being pink. If I change this fabric to being red, both are going to be red. So anything I do to one colorway will automatically happen to the other every time when they're linked. Now, you might be asking me a few things. You might say, okay, Phoebe, can I unlink them? Yes. All you have to do is select the graphic or whichever, right click, and you can say, actually, I just want this to be materials or I want this to be all properties. I'm going to say materials. This will unlink it. This will make it so I could go back and say, actually, no. Or maybe I wanted it black. And it will just change one of them. While this one's still blue, this one's black, you know? You might also be asking me, okay, well, actually, I wanted this graphic to be the same everywhere, like linked on all of them. You can do that too. So let me just select this. Let me select this one. I can copy it. And I can change out the color. Let me say this, apply and close. And I can drag this over. Now, this is important. This is a really, really cool part of this tool, so it's really nice. When I drag this in, you're gonna see some text next to my cursor. It says, assign to current colorway only. Press Control to change how an item is assigned to colorway. I'm gonna press Control. Now it's gonna say, assign to all colorways by unlinking materials. That means basically all properties. I'm gonna hit Control again. Assign to all colorways by linking all properties. This is what I want. I want this graphic to be linked throughout all colorways. So now I'm going to drag and drop. And this is going to be linked throughout all colorways, as you can see. This is now linked all throughout. I can go in here, resize, and it's going to be edited throughout. I could also go into this tag in my fabric here and do the same thing for the fabric. So let's say I wanted this fabric tag to be the same throughout. I can hit Control, linking, and drag and drop. It will link throughout all the other colorways and keep it all linked. So whatever happens to one will happen to the other. So you can easily link them. You can easily unlink them. So I can of course go to this top stitch, right click, and again unlink them. And just dragging and dropping it and selecting which way you want to add it will unlink it. Let's say for this colorway, the linked-ish colorway. For this one, I wanted to go more reddish. Let's say for this lining, I wanted it to be a little bit different. This is when the open select is really helpful. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Open select is great. So if I right click and I say open select, I could select this stripe here, the one that I showed you before, and hit OK. And then here we go. All set. And this doesn't affect the other colorways. Just like, in fact. Cool, right? Just like, I couldn't help it, okay? I just had to show you it. I tried really hard the whole time to not, but just to remind you. Even with an add as materials, you can of course use the open select and then change out the different like texture or anything like that, because that's really helpful. So you can do all of that with the right click open select and then bring in different parts of different fabrics in to create like the update fabric that you want. These are all very standard ways in which to add and adjust and edit. We kind of talked a little bit about the dragging and dropping that I just showed you, especially for here. Let me bring in, add a fabric, open. So you have some options when you drag and drop. One of the options you can do is if I dragged and drop, if I select this, drag, it says assign to current colorway only. This will make it so only this colorway is affected, even if this is linked. So I'm going to drag and drop this other fabric here. This is only going to apply to this colorway. I can also drag and drop this here, only going to apply to this colorway. And this is a great way in which you can create color blocked colorways without having to create a whole nother style. So here I just dragged and dropped this on a different pattern and it only applied to this colorway. I can update. I could also go in and change this so that it's like red and it matches this colorway. And you can see it doesn't affect any of the other colorways. And now I just did a whole color block for this one because I just changed this inside part. I could also do it here for the pocket. So let's say for this lining, I, again, assign to current colorway only. Or I'm going to say assign to all colorways by unlinking materials. So for all the colorways, I'm going to make it so the pocket is a different fabric. And I'm dropping this in. And now if I update, all the colorways are going to have a different fabric for the pocket. My pocket is a different fabric property. It's a different fabric than the lining. And I've updated it all through dragging and dropping. So this dragging and dropping has a lot of power behind it. You can like drag and drop. You can select this, drag and drop. And next to your cursor, you can decide if you only want to apply it to the current colorway, meaning just this colorway will be affected. If you hit control, then you can assign it to all your colorways, making it so all the colorways will be affected, but you can just adjust the materials and everything. Or you can make it so all the colorways are affected and everything's linked, which is what I did with the tagging. So I did this one for the pocket to make it so that it applied to all colorways, but I was able to change the color for them. And this one I did for just the interior of the bag here because I just wanted to color block that one colorway. So it all depends on what you want and how you want that one colorway to be adjusted. And it's really, really cool. Let's say though you don't want to actually see the graphic in all of your colorways. You can select your graphic here, right click and say hide other graphics. This will hide it in all other colorways and you will just see it in this one. Quick and easy. So now I've got quite a lot of colorways. Before we move on to the next step, I just want to do a brief overview of what we just covered. What we just covered are the two different ways in which you can add in colorways. You have the simple way, which basically means you're bringing in a colorway and just being able to adjust all of the visual or material properties of that colorway. The textures and all of the colors can be adjusted independently from one another colorway. The other way in which you can add in colorways is a more advanced version, and that will allow you to choose if you want every single property of that colorway to be able to be adjusted independently from the other colorways. Or if you want every single part of that property to be linked to your previous colorway or the colorway that you selected, meaning whatever you adjust to one will affect the other one that's linked. We also went through all the different parts that can be adjusted when you do all properties, when you do just materials, and when you do linked. You can adjust your fabric maps, all of your material maps, meaning your base map, colors, normal maps, desaturation maps, opacity maps, metalness maps. All of those can be adjusted with materials. All of those can be adjusted with property editor, with all properties, along with your information and your physical, along with being able to add in ad prints as well. You can also change out different graphic sizes when you do all properties versus when you just do materials. You can hide multiple graphics all at once by right-clicking and saying hide all graphics. That's for everything. You are able to relink fabrics, and you can unlink fabrics by right-clicking on your fabric and being able to relink, and being able to unlink by either selecting materials or all properties. You can relink by dragging and dropping your fabric in to your 3D workspace, and using your control, you can flip through your different options of dragging and dropping it so that it is all colorways with unlinked materials, just the current colorway, or all colorways and linking materials. So that's all your options for dragging and dropping, both for fabrics and for graphics, and even for top stitches. And that is everything we just covered. I'm sure you're like, whoa, that was way too much. And it was so much that we just did. But it was a lot of great information, and rewatched this a lot of times. The next part that I just wanted to show you all is once you have created all of your colorways, you can then go into this save image option right here and hit save image. This will then let you decide if you want to use your 3D window or colorway editor. Pick your 3D window. I'm going to hit then OK. And then I'm going to hit and now you have a snapshot line sheet. You can decide how many view counts you want. So if you want to do a front and back view, if you want to do like a front back side, if you want to do a front back side 3/4, like you have up to 4 different view counts. I'm just going to do 2. You also can then decide if you want the layout to be vertical or side by side. I like side by side. You can also decide which colorways you want to see and which ones you don't. I'm gonna keep all of them. If you don't want one, you can always just uncheck. You can say save as separate images and transparent background, or you can save them all together. You also have control over your sizing and all of that. And then I'm going to hit, and I'm also going to save colorway group. That's always really nice. And now I'm going to hit save. And what that has done is it's now just saved one whole lineup of all of my colorways all together. I also then can see each one individually in each view. And I can see them together as well, like so. Thank you so much for watching. I know it was such a long video. Congrats for making it all the way. If you have any questions, please check out the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got so much great content for you. And thank you again so much for watching this whole video. It means so much to me. It means so much to the whole CLO team. And keep having fun in CLO. I hope this helped, and thank you again.